Welcome to Beyond the Book with Julie, a chance for inspiration and insight from the author. Today we meet Joan Lunden.
Nice to finally be able to do this with you.
Yes. Thank you. It's so great to see you with your background.
I've been having fun doing this. You know,
I love watching.
I kind of decided if I'm going to be home, why don't I, put my toe in the water to do this? And so I started, I think like in the first week, I'm doing these Facebook Lives every day, Monday through Friday, at 1:00. And I've just been having so much fun with it. I interviewed, like you, I interviewed a lot of different guests.
Yes, I see that. But I love the way you're doing it. It gave me some ideas because what you're doing, I noticed, is you get them on your cell phone and then you hold your cell phone up to show
we're
your
on
viewers
Instagram,
on Facebook,
and this,
right?
This platform allows you to do this.
Right.
Facebook hasn't done that. And I have it, I've got a really big following on Facebook. So I decided that that's where I probably should do the live every day. And we're still trying to figure out, this is so cool to be able to do it this way. This is what I want to do.
Yes. Exactly. And I was actually trying to do it this way on Facebook a few days ago for somebody I was interviewing, an author who wanted her Facebook audience to see. And we tried so hard, and I tried to do it through Zoom.
They won't let
and the Zoom guy was on with me for 3 hours. No, it's really difficult. Anyways, it's so good to be with you. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'd love to introduce you. And of course, everybody already knows you because you are just so amazing and you're the face of Good Morning America to the world forever, I think. But Joan Lunden was the host of Good Morning America from 1980 to 1997, nearly 2 decades. You have been my personal inspiration since I was 5 years old. Joan, I thought I wanted to be Connie Chung, local news anchor right here in Los Angeles. Yeah, of course you do. And then I discovered your morning show so young, and I thought that is the place to be. She is warm and bubbly and fun and engaging, and you just had the inspirational stories and the fun with your co-host sitting on the couch, and that just seemed like the perfect world.
Charlie used to call it the best seat from which to view the world, and he was so right.
Well, and you two had such great chemistry. I mean, when I think of Good Morning America all these years later, still I think of Joan Lunden.
And I had Charlie Gibson on my Facebook Live the other day, and it blew up because everybody just loved seeing that again.
Yes, and seeing the two of you, it's so nostalgic for so many people. You went on to write over a dozen books, particularly in health and wellness and inspiration. And now comes, why did I come into this room? A story of aging.
I had a lot of fun writing this book. And if you've read it, you know why. Because I knew that if I was going to do a book about all the things that happen to us as women, because it's, we age differently than men because we deal with hormones. And, I think maybe the biggest reason why I did it is that I started experiencing some of the things. And when you just start experiencing them yourself, you think, uh-oh, I'm like getting old, breaking down, I'm not as appealing, what's wrong with me? And then as I started researching all of it and found out that, wait a second, what's happening to me is exactly the same thing that's happening to every other woman, then all of a sudden you don't go down that path of, I'm not as sexy, I'm not as appealing. And a lot of the things are embarrassing. They're annoying and they're embarrassing. So we tend not to even talk to our doctors about them, which is such a shame because there are fixes for some of them. That's when I said, look, I got to open up this conversation. I have to start this. I want it to be a conversation starter. These shouldn't be taboo subjects. They're things that happen to all of us. But I know I couldn't do that without writing with humor. Otherwise.
Well, and there is so much humor. I mean, I love it. Why can't I lose weight like I lose my
Yep.
keys, phone, and sex drive is one of the chapter titles. The chapter titles are the best. Be
My
happy.
mom,
It drives
my
people
mom always
crazy.
told me that.
I
If I
want
would
to.
just I was bickering with someone at school, she'd say, just go back and don't say anything and be super happy. It'll drive her crazy.
That's very interesting. So, do you think all of your inspiration, because clearly you really
Yes,
live by a
I
lot of
loved them.
inspirational quotes, they're in all of your books. And did that come from your mother and from being raised by just always hearing
My mom was kind of like
inspirational
living with,
comments?
you know, the guru of positive thinking. And she did have a lot of quotes. She used to say, hitch your wagon to a star, sweetheart. And when she sent me off on this trip around the world, my first semester in college, go and expand your horizons. So, people, when they get through reading the book, usually say, I feel like I know Glitzy Gladdy, your mom. But I have always been impacted by quotes. They are these few words that somehow have this giant impact. And I started collecting them years ago. I mean, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, maybe more. And I have a huge collection of them. Now, these days, I collect them on my Pinterest page. If you're in Pinterest, I have different, I have different
So they're
boards
all
with,
there.
funny ones, aging ones, all different kinds. And so sometimes that's where I save them, because that's now my new pin it place where I keep stuff. That's my file.
And that's your file, basically. So is that where you go to like get your quotes for your books, or how do you find, you must have a file and you keep them all organized?
Like huge. I have one over here that's like probably 30 pages, but it's on my computer too. And I go back and I sometimes will find one that I've had for a long time, but it just happens to fit for right now what I'm writing. And I look on Pinterest, but I look everywhere. I mean, I just love quotes, so I'm always on the lookout. And sometimes when I talk about them on Facebook, people will send me new ones, which is always fun. Sometimes you can do some real good ones. But as I started doing the book, I knew I said, okay, what are the things that happen to all of us? Forgetfulness. All right. But that chapter is, my short-term memory is bad, ... And so is my short-term memory. I want to entice you to open that up. I'm not going to do one on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What does that
mean?
Say, what is she trying to
urinary
say?
Incontinence. That one is, sometimes I laugh so hard, tears run down my leg. Like, I wanted to to entice you, but also to say, come on, this happens to all of us. So let's laugh about it. I mean, we'll find fixes. We'll also find solace in the fact that it's not just happening to us. I guess that could be called Misery Loves Company, but we won't say that. And then
exactly. But it is so important. Misery does love company, and it's not miserable, and that's what you remind.
When I would start telling stories, because I tell a lot of stories. I tell a lot of stories about things that have happened to me. Sometimes I would read it to like one of my older daughters, and they would say, "You aren't really going to say that, are you?" And I said, yeah, I am. What the heck?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's almost when our daughters say, oh no, that is so embarrassing, that we say, no, that's a good idea. No one else would do it. And we need to let everyone know it's normal.
By telling those stories, I'm talking about like the spank story, which we won't give away here, but it just makes everyone laugh because they've had a similar circumstance. And so to me, that's what bonds you together with your reader. And I write like I'm talking to somebody, on the edge of my bed or on the other side of the table having lunch. And I think that that's what is maybe one of the reasons for the success of the books, is because it's just a you and me. It's just us. And like, has this ever happened to you?
Yes.
Because it happened
It's
to
so
me.
relatable. It's relatable. Right. Absolutely. And the very best is I want to be cremated. It's my last chance for a smoking hot body. I mean,
I
where do
had
you
that
come
one.
up with
I
this? Do
didn't
you
come up with that one
all
on
of
my
these
own.
on
I
your
saw
own?
it somewhere and I've been saving it and saving it. And this was a time, oh yes, my last chapter. Oh yes. But you saw that in the book, I didn't just talk about expanding waistlines and leaky bladders and loss of libido and forgetfulness. I did mind, body, and
No.
soul. I started with mind because I wanted to talk about the concept of age, because I think that constrains us. You know, in the Western world, we're so married to that number. And you could have 5 women who are all 62. One could be a marathon runner. One could be, you know, gray hair, settling back, retired. They could be completely different. And yet our world will call all of them a 62-year-old woman. That is the description. And it's the worst description ever. So I really wanted to talk about the concept of age and to not allow age, like I'm 65 or I'm 70, all of a sudden make you think, so I'm not relevant. So I really can't wear that. The skirt's too short. Whatever it is you're saying to yourself. I want people to erase the concept of their real age and think more like, but how do I really feel? Like when I think of myself, everyone has to think of an age. It's just part of how you think. I know me, I'm 45, which is why one of my chapters is I'm 45. I'm not old. I'm 45 plus shipping and handling.
Yes, I love that. I love it. Plus shipping and handling.
But that's how I think about me when I think about me.
It's true.
And that's good because when you're 45, man, you can do anything.
Exactly. Yep.
You're
I'm
39?
still at the age of 39.
A lot
I'm not
of people
a day
pick
over
39. You know, I think that's because we've all seen all the birthday cards. I'm still 39 5 years later than my, but somehow when I look in the mirror, I actually see myself and I feel like I'm about 45. So that's what I'm sticking with it.
Right. Exactly. And that is so good for the brain, right? To either erase age or to just think of 20 years back.
And open
and
up
if
your
you
possibilities.
Have that mindset,
I think people close down their possibilities in life when they start thinking of themselves as older. And there's no need to do that because we're all living to like 80s, 90s. Pretty soon people are going to be living into their hundreds. So when you're 60, my gosh, you have 30, 40 years left. Like, don't get out of the game now. Keep running the bases.
Exactly. Right. Live and enjoy and explore new possibilities, right? It's interesting because, you know, I've been taking my kids to Crew to try out
Are you
rowing.
doing it yourself?
And well, and the instructor said, do you want to take lessons? And I was like, I'm too old. I can't do that. And then I thought, why not? So yes, I'm going to be trying that out in the next few weeks when things open up, hopefully.
When I was probably early 40s, maybe late 39s, late 30s, I introduced my girls to riding, horseback riding and jumping. And I used to go and I'd sit there and I'd watch them and I'd watch them. I think about when I was young, how I had horses, how much fun it was. And pretty soon I thought, why am I not doing this? So I started taking lessons. I bought a horse. I started showing in shows. I had so much fun for 20 years while they were growing up. And we'd all go together and we all did it together.
You were alive.
So you're doing the same thing. I highly recommend it.
Good. Yes, I am. And do you also do art?
I think I have an artistic bone in my body, but I do jigsaw puzzles.
I don't think I do either.
I mean, I am an ace. I'm so good that it's getting hard because I do them too fast and I run out of them and then I have to buy more. But I love it. It's kind of like, what's that game show that used to be on? Trying to find the two $25 things that matched. The Match Game. Is that what it was called? So
The
anyway,
notch
but
game?
that's what it's
I don't
like.
remember
You
that
see a
game.
piece and say, I know where this goes. To me, it's like always
Right.
testing my brain. And we know that that's good.
Yes.
Anything that challenges your brain, learning
Right.
something new, that can be cruel, but also learning like a new instrument, a new language. I never did, what do you call it, crossword puzzles for whatever reason. So I just started trying them now. I stink.
Right.
I'm horrible at them. But that's really good for my brain because it's testing me. But there's nothing that will make your brain younger
Exactly.
than exercise. And you know, a lot of people are like,
Oh. So how
but
many
people
hours
say,
a
oh,
day?
darn,
How
just
many hours a
any
day do you
exercise.
exercise?
When you go out, you don't have to be a runner because I'm not a runner, but I power walk and I put some good music on and I'm power walking. When you do aerobic exercise, it sends oxygen and nutrients and blood up to your brain, and you can create new neurons. It's called neurogenesis. And those neurons are much better. They're much more adept at connecting to the central system than the neurons that are created intellectually. They can also attach. They just aren't as good at attaching as those neurons that were created by exercise. And I'm going to tell you, when I used to think of exercise as, oh man, I got to like stay in this size jean or whatever, I was like, oh, fine, I'll go and do it. As soon as I found out that power walking and jogging was going to make my brain younger, I was like, okay, get my sneakers. I'm out there. It's a mindset.
Right. It's a mindset. It's when you think of it as fun and it fills
Yep.
you up and it makes you feel good. This just happened to me. I know exactly what you're talking about, Joan. It happened to me about 2 weeks ago. And now I love it. And I want to do different exercise like 3 times a day. And before I thought of it as, oh, that box I have to
So I'll
check
tell you what
before
I
the
learned
end of the day.
during my Facebook Live, actually, I had a trainer on one day, and she said, just remember to do your 20s. I was like, what's the 20s? She said, arms, legs, abs. Do 20 of something. So I do 20 squats, I do 20 push-ups, and I do 20 sit-ups. Now that I've gotten it down to that, and I really, like when I go to get in the shower, admittedly, I do it a lot of times in the morning with no clothes on. That'll make you go out and run, let me tell you. But as long as I get those 20, 20, 20 in, and I've gotten to the point now where a day doesn't go by that I don't do those 20. So at least I know I did those.
Right.
And that's something. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. I know exactly what you're talking about there too. I also started a little regimen that I found, I think just it popped up on Facebook or Instagram, and I wrote it down, and it was like, do a 30-second plank, do 20 sit-ups, do, these leg lifts. Yeah. It's the same. It's exactly the same thing. And I do it every day. And so even if I don't get to do other things,
I now do it
I know
before
I did
I get
that.
in the shower, and at least I know I'm not going to sleep at night after not doing anything. And once you do that in the morning, I think you do look at food differently. I think you're less likely to, chow down.
Yeah. It's totally true. It's amazing how that works. Yeah. We're having the same experience. I love
putting,
it.
Workout clothes on in the morning. If I wait to do it like at 5 in the afternoon, there's a really good chance it's not going to happen.
I am the same, exactly the same. Yeah. Or if I wait, if I think I don't have time this morning and I'll get to it later, and it gets later and later and later, and then it's time to watch a movie or
and you
journal
don't think about it until you put your head on the
pillow
and you think, oh my God, I didn't do that, but I'm too tired.
Right. So Joan, a question. What has been your biggest concern about aging? Maybe before you wrote the book or as you started writing?
Well, when I first started writing this book about 6, 7 years ago, it was called Live Younger Longer. And I thought that that's what it was about. Then I got diagnosed with cancer, and I started really voraciously reading about my body, how it works, how cell function works, how different foods affect our body. And all of a sudden, I realized all I wanted to really be, besides beating the cancer, was to be healthy, to be fit, strong, vibrant, healthy. So then I decided, wait, this has got to be a book about being living healthy longer and staying strong. Not only, I don't mean like lifting weights like guys, but I mean staying happy,
Right.
mentally strong, being able to manage stress, being able to let go of stuff that doesn't matter, and being able to be resilient and to think about your place in the world. That's why the whole last part of the book is soul, mind, body, soul. And I think the soul part is probably the biggest part, because I think that's probably the part that we sometimes have the hardest time dealing with. But when I started realizing that I was feeling all these things, and then I learned that these things were, it wasn't because I had had cancer. It was because this is just what happens to every woman. And I said, okay, then I have to write about that. And a lot of people, a lot of women don't want to necessarily write about that, because in a way it's kind of coming out and saying, hey, we're all in the same canoe. We're all leaking. We're all having a little loss of libido. We're all forgetting. We all can't find our car when we come out into the parking lot at the mall. And it's okay. And if we just all talk about it and we laugh about it, and you know that the laughing part, that I had such a fun time writing this book.
I know. I mean, that was probably the most therapeutic for you and for everyone who reads it, right? Because laughter is the number one most important medicine.
Absolutely. And not thinking of yourself as old. You know, I say in the book, the most important thing we say all day long is the thing that we say to ourselves. And if you say to yourself, if, you know, when you expect to decline, decay, not be able to get out of a chair, not to be able to reach over and tie your shoes, not to be able to, like, all of that, that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And unfortunately, we have a lot of those hours and hours and hours of, you know, audio running in our head from when we were little. And we heard our parents talk about, oh, Uncle Charlie, he can't really do that anymore. And we were fed all of this, you know, kind of audio reinforcement that we were going to decline. You go into the store, you see every birthday card. Oh, over the hill. You know, you lost it all now that you're 50. I want you to go and like hold up a sign and be a protester. Right. They had all this 50 stuff with, like, you know, like you were ready to die the next year. I mean, 50 to me was fabulous.
Right. And so you have 7 kids. What has always been your best advice to your kids?
I think it's advice that my mom gave me. And it's one of my chapters. My mom would get angry at me for something, or I, you know, whatever it was, we had bickered. And 30 minutes later, she would come into my room and say, hey, want to come and help me cook dinner? Or let's go somewhere. Or, hey, I just saw an article. It was done, over with. She was not carrying on a grudge. And she taught me, you got to just let go of it. We both said our piece. And to me, that was the most important lesson that I learned from my mom. And I learned a lot. And I think that's the most important lesson that I am teaching my kids, and I'm hoping that I'm getting through to it. And if we get in a, you know, in a bickering, you know, I'm at the high school age, I'm at the eye roll and the whatever. I'm at that stage.
So
well, don't worry, because when they get to college, all of a sudden we're smart again. And when you get in their 20s, then we're actually a friend again. And when they get into their 30s and 40s, then you're their best friend. But it takes some doing, you know, to teach kids to let things roll off your back. And there's no value in hanging on to it. All you do is create stress for you and stress for them. There is absolutely no value in it.
That's right. That's right. Those are really good reminders. It's so important. But moving on, I love your mom taught you so many great traits and so much inspiration, and that really just shows through in your personality and the way you live life and in all of your books. Your books are just a gift to the world. So thank you for writing another. Are you writing another one right now?
And after doing this,
because you have lots
yes,
of
I have.
to fill
as soon as my assistant Nicole, she saw a new folder, 2021 books. She said, "What?" And again, it's going to be filled with quotes. And again, I had so much fun writing a funny book. And I've had humor in my books, but never like this. The next one's going to definitely be the same, because you can impart wisdom and inspiration and motivation and soulfulness through humor. So that's, I learned a big lesson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the laughter is what connects you. And it helps you feel alive. And then you realize, oh, that person really touched me. In quarantine, is there anything new that you have taken up besides your daily Facebook?
Yeah, the thing I took up was, my husband says, what are you doing? Like every time I talk to you, you're either booking a guest, or pre-interviewing, or you're writing an interview. And this is not a job. You're not being paid. Like, why are you doing this? And I said, because I'm having fun. It's my contribution to the pandemic. Right? And I'm meeting interesting people. I mean, I'm having fun. And I have one quote in the book that kind of speaks to this. And I always thought I was going to be a doctor. My dad was a doctor, always thought I'd be a doctor. Went to work in a hospital right out of high school. And I learned very quickly that I was not going to have scalpels and needles in my future. It just didn't happen. But it's one of those little things that I always thought I should follow in my dad's footsteps. And I always kind of felt like, why didn't you pursue that? Like, you didn't live up to that. And I write about it in this particular chapter. I don't know what chapter this is, but here it is. I may not have gone where I intended to go, but I think I have ended up where I needed to be. And I really kind of feel that way about my life. I'm not taking care of patients one at a time, but I am just disseminating information. And I've become, friends with so many millions of Americans that they will listen to me, and sometimes they will take advice even that they won't take from, a doctor, because they hear it in such a different way. So I think I ended up where I am supposed to be, as a senior advocate, and as a breast cancer advocate, and as a women's health advocate. But at the heart of it all, as a communicator.
Absolutely. You are an amazing communicator. And yes, I think you've touched the world a million times over, first through GMA and with all of these books, and just staying so connected and grounded and genuine and relatable. So thank you so much. I do have a final question, and that is, well, it's a two-parter. Have you been watching the morning show on Apple Plus with Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston?
They invited me to the premiere. It was at Lincoln Center, so we got to see like the first one. And they came right up to me, Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon, and we're like, picking my brain because you live this life.
Absolutely.
I will say that there's a lot of what do you call dramatic license. I hope that people, like, I love Jennifer Aniston and Reese, but they are rather contentious, and I don't want people to think that the women who are on morning TV, that we acted like that with each other, and we definitely didn't drop the F-bomb every 8 seconds, which they do, or maybe they do now, but I don't think so. And we certainly didn't.
Right. That's what I was just going to say. That was a long time ago.
I would never have talked
to
one of my producers or writers, or certainly not to Charlie Gibson or David Hartman. We were quite a lot more civilized. Oh my gosh!
You still have friendships.
We're friends to this day. Right? It's interesting. The people who worked on Good Morning America from about 1980 to 1998, something like that, they were really this incredible family. We still all get together, like 170 of us, every December, usually around December 10th or 11th. There's one person that kind of keeps it all under control. They find out when Charlie and I can both be there. We set it, and every year we all go to this one hotel in New York City and have a holiday party, and it's just a big reunion. It's so much fun.
So much fun.
It really is special.
How
that
special.
Says something
that is really
for the people
special.
who put that show on the air. And that's how people, I think, received it. And they realized that it was coming to them from this huge, big group of people who felt like a family and who like loved and respected each other. Mm-hmm. We all knew we were in the same 3:30 a.m. canoe. That's part of it.
And that's probably, yes, that 3:30 a.m. canoe is pretty crazy. That could age you, but it didn't age you,
well,
which is miraculous.
I mean, I'm sure it did in some ways, but it also kept life incredibly, to me, the best fountain of youth is keeping your life exciting, making plans. My mom always used to say, always have plans. And half the fun of anything is the anticipation of it and getting excited about it. I've always lived life to the fullest, and I've always got something new I'm starting. My husband says a page out of the Joan Lunden playbook is, if anyone asks you if you can do something, just say yes, and then go figure out how to do it. And that's kind of how I've lived my life. And I'm still just starting new things all the time. I'm getting requests every day to do a gazillion podcasts and PSAs. I say yes to all of it. Why wouldn't I? That's what keeps life fun and exciting. And that's
fun and exciting and interesting.
To me.
Yes, it is. You are so very special. I wish that you and I could sit here all day and talk.
I do.
But I think you have a husband coming back to town. I heard you say that yesterday. So go enjoy your weekend. Happy Mother's Day with all of your children.
It was really fun. I'm glad we got together.
Thanks for joining us. Follow at Facebook, Instagram, and our website, Beyond the Book with Julie.